In this slidecast, we're going to look at what's required of you to score well in your construction project. You'll see at the end of your assignment brief there is this thing. It's called a rubric, and the way it works is that this is what we use to mark. So we look through and we say for the report format, um, you know, is it more like this or like this? And then we give it a score between 0 and 3. If it meets all these criteria, we'll start thinking about scoring your 5. It all depends on a whole lot of stuff. So you can see that if you get each one of these, peak them all, you sort of end up with 5. It all adds up to 30 out of 35. So you can see that we were marking you on report format, spelling and grammar, have you set the report out properly, all that sort of stuff. Methodology, we're looking for you to have identified the different options briefly, and then gone into the one that you've proposed as the preferred one. You need to have good reason for preferring it. You need to say, I think it's safer, or I think it's going to be faster or quicker, whatever, and give some reasons for it. Resourcing, you need to be telling us what sort of resources you're going to use, what sort of plant, what sort of equipment, how you're actually going to make it happen. Quality, safety, environmental protection. Resourcing, quality, safety, environmental protection. You only need to do that for the preferred option that you're doing. You don't need to look at it, you don't need to set it out in any detail for all your options, but you should cover it. So you might have to say this particular option requires a specialist piece of machinery such as such and such, therefore it's too expensive and I'll go with the one that uses something a bit less, a bit more common, for example. But you wouldn't need to go into it in any detail. For the preferred one, you'd need to go into detail of what the resources are going to be, what the quality, how you're going to do the quality control, how you're going to do the safety, environmental protection. And then the last thing we've got here is the presentation, which you would append to it. Now normally you wouldn't put that in a report, you wouldn't have a presentation at the end of the report, but it's one of the requirements of the course moderators that we have a presentation in this, and so we're just going to sort of get you to tack it on to the end, and we'll talk about that now. So what I want to do for the rest of the slidecast is talk about these two, report format and presentation. So the report format is we're looking for you to have put it in a proper report format. You've actually written a report. Now the size of the report, some students are saying they can't fit it in 2,000 words. That's fine. 2,000 words is a guideline. Look, if you go up to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 words, no problem. Okay, we're not going to mark you down. If you get up to 10,000 words, you've probably gone too far. We're looking for no spelling mistakes, easy to read, so it should be easy for the person that's reading it to understand what you're saying, and that you're presenting the information in a logical order. So what I'm going to do is just show you one that was done last year. Now this had a different brief from the ones you've got. Okay, he was just asked to pick a type of engineering structure and talk about it. So it was like a school project. Your ones will be different. The format will be the same, the way you structure it, but what you're actually saying will be totally different. So don't just take the headings out of this and plonk them down and use them for your one. It's not going to work. Okay, so in this case he was looking at steel frame buildings, how they were constructed, and considerations in construction. So you notice the first page is a title page. It's got the title, it's got the so this is the title, and it's got a student name and number. Now you don't have to have this orientation, you can have it centered, you can have it to the left or the right, you can do whatever you like to make the front page look nice. And he's put a pretty picture of a steel frame building. It's just a pretty picture, it's not doing anything. Now this is the only pretty picture we're going to tolerate in this thing. Everything else, every figure, every picture or photo you put after the title page has to have a reason for it. It has to illustrate something. Don't just put pretty pictures in because they're pretty to make it look good. They need to be there to illustrate what you're saying. Okay, so there's his title page. Looks nice, looks very pretty. As I said, if you want to have it left aligned or center, whatever way you want to arrange it, but it does need a title page. The next thing you've got there is the table of contents. So it doesn't have that list of table of contents, so I'll just delete that. So what he did was he went in and he used these things here. So there's home. You can set up headings and heading 1, heading 2. And so what he did was he set those up, and then once you've got those, you can go into this reference and insert a table of contents, and it'll insert something like this, so it saves you having to do it. Notice that he's got metric numbering system, 1, 2, 2.1, 2.2. So it's a logical order. He starts off with an introduction, he works through, and he's got a summary at the end and a bibliography after it. So table of contents is the next thing. Notice that it's page number I. It's not page number 1. Page number 1 is the page that has the introduction on it. And the way he's done this is, you see that he's inserted a section break. So if you want to insert a section break, you go insert, no, page layout breaks, and I'll say section breaks next page, and if you do that, it'll plonk a section break in. And once you've got a section break in, you can actually go into the numbering. So if you double click on the header, you can go into the numbering there, and you can, let's blow it up a bit for you. Oops. You can go into the numbering there and change the page numbers. So you can go in there and change the page numbers. The header should be the title and the page numbers. Now he's got introduction on page 1, so section 1 is the introduction, and it's on page 1. That's what we're looking for. He's got a nice introduction. The introduction is to tell you what's going to be in the report. This report is, what is the purpose of the report, how is the report structured, what's it going to say. So you're telling people what you're going to say. You don't try to summarize the whole report in the introduction. All you're doing is you're introducing it. Then you go into the main part of it, where you are presenting the body of your information. So in your case, you'd be presenting the different activities, and then you'd have subsections for each activity, sort of talking about each one it is. Now if you're looking at, say, the pair, you might have 3 activities doing the pile, the pair, and the crosshead. It might be that each one of these sections, these main sections, is one of those. So the first section might be pile, second section might be pairs, and the third section might be crossheads. And then you'd go in to use the subsections here to distinguish it. So for the piles, you might talk about alternatives. These are the alternatives, and then you might want to even have subsections, 2.1.1, where you're talking about the different options that are available. So it's up to you on how you structure it, but it does need to have a logical structure. And then he goes on, and notice that he's the metric numbering system makes it very easy for us to follow it all. One criticism, I would have had these heading 1s in capitals, make them more distinct. So there needs to be an easy distinction between the heading 1 and the heading 2s. At the end, he's got a summary where he summarizes what he does. This summary here is probably a bit short. Your summary will be something along the lines of, this is how I recommend that you construct that pair, or how you do that earthworks. So you'd summarize the findings of your report. So it could be summary, you could call it recommendations if you like. And then the last page here, or the last page of the report itself, would be the bibliography. You don't have to do referencing in the text. Some academic reports require you to do it. All I'm looking for is just a list of your references put in the APA format. Now at the end of this, you'll have maybe another section break, and then you'll have appendices. And what you'll do is you will put in a presentation. Now it's a 5-minute presentation, which means it'd be all of about 5 slides. That's all it would be, no more than that. And it's, if we asked you to stand up in front of the class and present your present what you did and present your preferred methodology, how would you do that? And the way we want you to do it is so here's an example of one of my presentations. So you've got all your, so do it in PowerPoint, and you do your slides. Now the rule with slides is don't try to put too much on a slide. There's a 7x7 rule which says there should be no more than 7 points, and each point should have no more than 7 words in it. So you're really just doing a bit of bullet points about what your points are. To be able to fill it in, we're looking for you to do speakers notes. So this is the normal format here, so you've got all the summary of all of your slidecasts here, you've got the main one here, and then all you need to do is you just need to be putting in information to this notes page, so convenient, easy to reuse, whatever. Okay, now that's great. So that's the way you sort of do it. When you want to print it out, you go to this up here into notes page, and you'll see that it's done like this, which isn't very good. So you can change the letter size. 22, that's not very good. So 12 would probably do it. You might take a bit of formatting to get it working properly, and I think my paragraphing was also all up the chute, was not working as well. So there you go. That's what I'm looking for there, is the slide and the speaker's notes, just brief things, the things that you'd actually say to the people. So hopefully that summarizes what we require from you for the report and for the presentation.